Živjo, Ivy here, welcome back to my channel. And we are, well, look at how chunky it is. We're going to set up my reading journal, everything I read this month. I love when a book gets so chunky. I love that. And yeah, I didn't read a lot, like last month, wow, 6 books I believe. This month I went back to my regular reading, which is 4 books a month, which is not bad. I like it. And I read many different books, different genres, so to say. And yes, like I did with my bullet journal, for September is more like fall or autumn, and that's what I'm making this bullet journal. I mean this reading journal like that. And I have these cute stickers with these cute girls, and I wanted to use them. And as usual, everything that I am using, you will find it in my description down below if you would like to have some of this. I would really like to read a lot of books, because there are so many older books that I would like to read, and there are so many new books coming out, and I just cannot. I'm just a slow reader. I cannot read all those books, and I kind of can get into audiobooks. Like the last month, I don't know, maybe that book was not for me to listen to. So I guess I have to experiment on that one. But yeah, I started reading for a reason, so that I'm not on my phone constantly, and that before I go to bed, at least 2 hours before I go to bed, to actually read a book. So a real physical book. So I don't have a Kindle or to have like an iPad to read books from there. So yeah, I just go to my library or I buy books. Which yeah, I did read a couple of ebooks, but that's it. So for the first book, got it from my library, and it is The Whisper Man. So this is more like a thriller, crime, and horror. When it comes to horror, it did scare me a little bit at the start. Basically, we have Tom, who is a single father, and Jack, who is his son, and the son is really trying to not be a problem to his dad, so he tries to be a really good boy. But Jack is giving me those vibes. If you know the movie like The Sixth Sense, you know the kid that says, "I see dead people." That's exactly what this is giving me. And yeah, like there was when I was not a scene when I was reading this book, and the father stayed at home alone while Jack was in school, and the dad is a writer, an author, and the house is kind of like the house that they moved in. They wanted to move from the old house because the wife died in that old house, and they moved to a new place, and the dad stayed alone. And the house was old, it is old, and the house is creaking. And the moment he said that, like, it felt like somebody is walking in other rooms, like upstairs, something cracked here in my apartment, and I was like, closing the book, I'm done reading it, I'm not reading this book at night. It was a good book. It was it was also a very easy book. Like I could figure out where is it going. Like I didn't figure everything out, but I did figure certain things out, where it is going, what's going to happen, all that. And yeah, Jack is exactly the type of a kid who has those senses, because I don't know, should I say that? Well, there's a little girl, nobody sees her, and later Jack talks to somebody else in the book, and I guess the dad will never know. Does his son have the type of a power, or are they imaginary friends? Which I think the dad then at the end of the book kind of realizes that no, they're not imaginary friends. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this book. It was good. A good start to fall. And the next one is Bunk 57. This is the first book by Penelope Douglas that I'm reading. And I wanted to see what the hype is about, because apparently this author really likes to write taboo stuff. Spicy taboo stuff. And this wasn't very taboo, because there are certain ones that I kind of need to, I would love to get into it, but I have to say that I didn't completely like this book. And the thing is, I like the idea. For example, Misha and Ryan, I think that's how you say the name. They kind of became like pen pals, like writing letters. Even though they live very close in the neighborhood, they never like seek each other out to see who they are and all that. But in those letters, there were good stuff written, poems, songs, and a lot of lies. And that's when Misha kind of figured out who Ryan is. He knows the girl, and he was very disappointed of what she became, or actually that she lied to him in the letters of what type of a girl she is. So he kind of became her bully. But he was in her school for a completely different reason. She was just there, and he just went with it to be this really mean guy. What I didn't like, I mean, I get Ryan, I get her past, I get you're a teenager, you're naive, you want to be in those popular group of kids, and then you allow and do these type of things that are not okay. Like I said, I get it, you're a teenager. But also, I don't like the way when they had kiss and sex for the first time, the way it got to that, if people think that was hot, that was not. That was so toxic and manipulative. For example, Misha kind of talked with this different girl to make Ryan like jealous, because they would kind of get into it, you know, like that Misha and that other girl had sex and that he was so good and all that. And when they got alone, when Ryan wanted to sabotage Misha's car, and he actually got to her, and they end up in his car, and he was like telling her all this stuff, like, yeah, you really think that I would go for you, blah blah blah, and all of that. And when she was already crying because she was feeling things for him, she wanted to leave his car, and then he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. No, you're not useless. No, I do love you. You're so beautiful. That is manipulation. I'm sorry. And that I did not like. And for him just saying that, she just gobbled up all his words, believed him, and they had sex in his car in front of all these people around them. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I know. That is toxic, manipulative, and I didn't like it. So in a lot of this book, like, I don't know, 60-70%, I was like, I don't know if I like it or not. But then later on, it did get better once she figured out who Misha is, even though she still forgave him way too fast for him knowing who she is, what he did, and her not knowing that this is her pen pal friend, her best friend. Yeah, it was messed up. It's messed up. It's not all that bad. The book isn't all that bad, but certain things, like what I said right now, bothered me. Like in real world, when a guy tells you that you mean nothing to me, why you really think I felt something for you, and then says, sorry, I'm so sorry, no, I lied. Hello? You walk away. You walk away. Yeah, that's the only thing that bothered me. Otherwise, the book wasn't all that bad. It had some good points and bad ones. So, yeah. I guess it depends on you. If you like this type of books, basically this would be like bully trope. So this is my first book reading about bullying and all that, and maybe that's why I don't like it. Maybe. Alright, in this book, guys, I don't remember that I ever cried so much in a book like I did when I was reading this one. Like halfway there, it was interesting, it was like building, this family, what is happening in this family, the family moving away to Alaska. And then after halfway towards the end, oh, it was a crying mess. Oh, I was so crying. I was a mess. But it was so good. Are her books usually like this? Because this is my first book from her. And I also heard about good things about Nightingale. So I do want to read that one as well. And I think we have it in my library as well. But yeah, this is basically about, this was in the 70s. And Lenny's family, her mom and dad, I think her dad was older from her mom for like 10 years or something like that. A huge age gap. The dad went to war and he was captured and tortured, and when he came back he had PTSD. Yeah, the mother was hiding a lot of things from Lenny, like she was telling like dad is sick because of the war and all that. Yeah, Lenny didn't see it back then that the dad was kind of abusive towards the mother and very jealous if she ever talks to any other guy. And he would always come back to her, like hurt her. The mother, of course. When Lenny's dad got the letter from a family in Alaska, when he was in a war with this another guy, and he passed away, and he kind of left this house to him, like he can use it, and his family is like, you were with our son, you can have his house, but we're here in Alaska. And they thought, yeah, this is perfect for us to move on, to start a new life and all that, and let's go to Alaska. And I love that people in Alaska, even though you don't have a lot of either money or anything, they're such helpful community. They help each other out, and I absolutely love that. Like, this is what being human actually means. You don't just help and then you want something because you helped. You did it because you want to. You want to help this family. You already know what you need to do, and I love that. But of course, the Lenny's dad, I should have wrote his name down, and I know the mom's name is Cora, but I forgot his name. Anyway, basically this is also given me a little bit of Romeo and Juliet, because Lenny fell in love with Matthew, and they are the only two kids with the same age. Like, there aren't many kids out there to be like their age, so they like to hang out and all that. Of course they fell in love. And Matthew's dad, Tom, like his grandfather was the one who gave people in Alaska like something, I don't know, basically he's rich and all that, and Tom now wants to expand and in Alaska for people to have electricity and all of that. And the dad from Lenny kind of like hates him because he's rich and he thinks he can do whatever, and so he kind of like forbids Lenny to hang out with Matthew. So that gives me Romeo and Juliet. Like, their love is forbidden. The dad finally got what he deserves, and it took so many years for Cora, Lenny's mom, to finally stand up to the man that she loves, and she could never leave him. Like, I know she keeps saying that she loves him very much, but I think she could not leave him because he would look for her, and if he found her, God knows what he would do. So basically, she could not go anywhere without him. Yeah, she took the beating from him, but when he raised his hand on Lowen, first time he is hitting his daughter, oh, that's when Cora is just like, no, you can do it to me, but not my baby Lenny. And yeah, a crime happened, and they had to run away. So much has been happening. Yeah, Lenny did return them back to Alaska like 8 years later to find Matthew, that Matthew is alive because something happened, I don't want to tell you, but he's not the same anymore, and it's a happy ending. But good lord, ever since Cora, her mom, and Lenny like were running away from a crime, from that point on I was just crying. I mean, the bond and the love between mother and daughter, it just got me. It was so good. I do recommend this book. If you need something like you want to cry, read this book. And let's start with the last book, and it is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I enjoy her books. She gives me those vibes of fan fiction that I used to read when I was younger. And this is such a fanfic and I love it. I had so much fun reading this book. Even though, yeah, the when did I start to read and finish is long, but because I was exhausted from my work and all of that and didn't have much time to read, or I just couldn't read because, you know, it's useless to read if you are like really tired. But I have fun. I love Misery. I love her entire character, that she's so sassy and all of that. But I also kind of feel sorry for her, as she's a vampire and werewolves and humans, they're all in this together and they're completely at war with each other. So for them to have this alliance to be peace, they always send a child to a different, let's say a human child comes to vampires and one vampire child needs to go to the humans. So if anything would happen to that child, war will break out, right? And I'm not sure, kind of forgot how many years the child needs to stay there. Basically, Misery was chosen and she was very lonely. And the people, like the humans, gave her this human child, a little girl who was an orphan, and they kind of bonded and they become best friends. And even when they were adults, Misery went to live with humans and with her best friend. She was always a sacrifice. Even though she sacrificed herself and came back, she hardly knows anything about her race as vampires. Like, I don't think anyone wants her back, even though she sacrificed herself. It's so sad. She's so lonely. The only one that she has is her twin brother. And let's not even talk about her dad. He's a disaster. Okay? And she needs to sacrifice herself again. This time to make peace with werewolves and vampires, and basically her to get married to Louis. I think that's how you say name, Louis. But here's the kicker: she is his mate, but she doesn't feel anything. I mean, later on she feels attracted to him, but he smells her scent. She smells good. And I love that it didn't jump straight to sex. It took time. There was yearning, there was passion, they were drawn to each other, and I love that. I love that it just didn't jump into it. And she kind of earned the trust with the werewolves. And the reason why she also accepted to get married to the werewolves is because she thinks that they have something to do with the disappearance of her best friend. I forgot to mention that. But yeah, there's a whole plot twist, like I said, about her dad. Like, no, they were acting like her brother was putting up this act, and so was Louis mostly at the end of the book. And I was like, she's getting betrayed so much. And then in the end, it was actually a happy ending. It wasn't all that bad. It was just an act. But yeah, I had fun. This book is so fun. It just takes me back to reading fan fictions, like the way I used to read them. And yeah, this reminds me so much about it. And also about, how you call it, the knot? Oh my god. I think I read something like that when I was way younger. Overall, yeah, it's a fun book. Here we go, back to the start. And yeah, this is how many pages I've read. I made a mistake here with the stars at the Whisper Man. I gave it 4 stars. Punk, 3.5. The Great Alone, 4.5. And Bride, 4.5. These are all the books that I read. I will write my thoughts later as usual, also in my language. And I truly hope you enjoyed my little video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Ciao, ciao.